Okay, so 343 recently confirmed that they will continue to make Halo, which the fact that we're worried about that at all shows the state of Microsoft and Microsoft's studios. We have to worry about every single studio because they just cut people. They just throw them away. They just take these companies that are making great games, they buy them, and then they just flush those IPs down the toilet. Or the original owner of the IP, in the case of Gears of War and Halo, they're done with the IP, they want to move on to something else, and Microsoft goes, well, we're going to keep that IP as ours and make our own studios like Coalition and 343 to continue making those sequels and making those games. Well, with the recent round of firing, like I talked about in my last video, that 10,000 people, if you haven't watched that video already, please do. Some head people in 343 and Halo developing veterans and directors were shifted over to Microsoft Xbox proper, and a lot of other people were just let go from 343. Apparently they were hit pretty hard with these layoffs, and that doesn't bode well for a game that is already desperately needing content. In fact, I've been playing Halo Infinite recently because it seems like it's just my winter game. I don't quite know why, but that's how it works out. And there are still basic bugs and issues with the game that have not been ironed out in over a year. I'm talking about people joining your lobby and the number still being like 1, but you see other people. Or if you've got 3 people, you only see 2 as the number, but there's actually 3. And then when sometimes we'll join a game, randomly one of those 3 people will be left out. I don't understand how they're still having these issues when these are basic, simple issues. There's also a problem with how the gameplay itself works with kills. Sometimes you get killed because of the way they decided to go with how the combat works. When you're shooting somebody, I believe, could be wrong, let me know if I'm wrong, it goes by the ping on the shooter's server side, not the receiver. So if the person that's getting shot at, even if it looks like they're behind cover, but on the shooter screen they're not behind cover, then it's going to go with the shooter screen over the shootee, I guess is what you'd call it. Again, that I'm pretty sure that's how that works, and because of that there's this weird disconnect where sometimes you'll get killed and you're behind cover. It's happening a lot less from what I've seen than when it first launched, but it's still happening, and it's still very frustrating when that happens. So 343 is confirmed to continue developing the game. After all that rants aside, they're still confirmed to be developing the game, even with less people in their studio, even with the fact that they haven't even fixed bugs that have been there since day one, even with the fact that they've made very little content for this game, and it has not kept up with live service games that are of similar genre and caliber. They're not keeping up with Apex. They're definitely not keeping up with Fortnite. They're not keeping up with all of the other free-to-play games that are vying for people's attention. And because of that, if you look at the player count on just Steam alone, I'm sure there are other people playing on Xbox. I can still find a game immediately, but with that low of a player count, it's not good. That's not a good sign. It's Halo. That used to be one of the staple franchises. And I bring this up all of the time because I'm a massive Halo fan. It's my favorite shooter. Halo 3 is still my favorite shooter of all time. I love that game to death. But when 343 took over, they started switching things over to just like weird. It just started feeling weird almost immediately. Halo 4 did not feel like Halo to me because there were... You can have like a custom loadout. That's not Halo. It's an arena shooter. Everyone starts with the same gun and you get power weapons. That's how I like it. That's how Halo fans liked it because everyone starts on an even playing field. Everyone has the same exact chance to get those power weapons as everybody else. It's very equal. It's very skill-based. And people like me like that a lot. It's great. Even though I'm not great at it, it's still phenomenal. That's how it is. Halo 5, they kind of got rid of the loadout system a little bit. Halo Infinite, the loadout system is completely gone, thank God. But the fact that they added it to begin with really showed the misunderstanding, I feel like, that 343 had with the Halo franchise as soon as they took it over. And the fact that they mishandled the Master Chief Collection, which should have been like the amazing, just the definitive collection of classics, just amazing games. And yet they somehow fumbled that. They didn't even make those games. All they had to do was bring them over, get the netcode working. That's it. And they fumbled the ball there. And now it's a great game, but again, because it had that horribly fumbled launch for many, many years, the community isn't that big for that game either, even though it definitely should, because they're phenomenal games. And now it's a great game to play with lots of content that 343 added, lots of great armor. They added skins, all these things for free, and that's just wonderful. So they did great things with the Master Chief Collection, but it took a very long time. And then Halo Infinite. I mean, it's going to take another long time, it seems, to get it to the Master Chief Collection, and they needed a full team to do that. So now that that full team is diminished, it's going to take even longer for more content to come out. It's going to take even longer to fix those bugs. It's going to take even longer to get just meaningful updates to this game. And that means it's just going to continue to slow down. It's not going to keep up with everyone else, and the community is going to continue to dissolve. And that makes me sad. And it also begs the question, yeah, 343, they're still making Halo. But should they be? Should 343 still be making Halo, or should somebody else take the mantle? Now, there are two ways to look at this. The realistic way is how I'm going to approach this at first. And I think they should continue to work on Halo Infinite because, A, they need to keep updating that game. People paid a lot of money for that game. People have sunk a lot of time into that game. I feel like those people should be rewarded. And I think the bones are there. The structure is there for a great game. They just need more content. And, you know, Halo 4 wasn't terrible, but again, it did seem to miss the mark a bit. Halo 5 was a bit wonky. It had some interesting bits to it, but they also had, like, loot boxes, but they also had a ton of different armor, but they also had a pay-to-win giant ground war type game. It was a very mixed bag of a game. Terrible campaign. I didn't like the Halo 4 campaign at all either. I know that's kind of a mixed thing in the community. People either love it or hate it. I personally loathe it. I think it's terrible. I hate the Prometheans so much. I think with Halo Infinite, they'd finally figured out. They went back to the older formula. Yeah, there's sprint now. Yeah, the gameplay's a little bit faster, but the loadouts are gone. It feels like an arena shooter. It feels good to me. And again, that's another thing that seems to be having mixed opinions on, especially over time. I feel like some people started saying, hey, this game's got some great bones, but it's lacking content. A lot of those people, because of over time, you haven't gotten that extra content, that's just kind of soured them on the whole game experience as a whole, and they've come back and gone, you know what, I don't even like the game at all anymore. I get it, that makes sense, but at the same time, I think realistically, if Microsoft hands it off to somebody else, I mean, I feel like they're just going to try to figure out the whole thing again, you know what I mean? We're going to be back to ground, just starting out again. We're going to be going back to another company that doesn't quite understand the IP. They haven't had time with it, so they don't really know what to do. They're going to try a bunch of new stuff because they got to put their stamp on it. And because of that, they're going to make it all screwy again. I don't want history to repeat itself. I want 343 to figure it out, which I feel like they finally have figured out the gameplay aspect. They just need to figure out everything else, which is really frustrating because they shouldn't have had to figure out everything, because their previous game, even Halo 5, had a progression system. It had a leveling system at launch. Why is that gone? And that could be the argument for the second option, which is 343 should be disbanded, and they should just give it to a completely new set of people. Give it to people that show understanding about the Halo franchise, what makes it great, what people want in the franchise, what people want out of these games, analyze what players have done, hell, hire old players of the game, and somehow maybe bring back some developers that they've lost over the years from Bungie. Just get people that fundamentally understand what makes Halo good, and you'll have a good Halo game. And I feel like it's not that difficult. I feel like if you put a bunch of nerdy people like me in a room that have been playing Halo their entire life, they could easily just give you a list of things that made the series great, put all of those in the game, and I swear, you're going to have a huge hit on your hands. Hot take. I think This is gonna be a hot ass take. I'm gonna take a sip of whiskey real quick. This is a hot ass take. 1 minute. They should have made a Halo Battle Royale. They should have had that as an extra mode on top of campaign, multiplayer, Forge. They should have had a Battle Royale. How difficult would that be? I don't think it would be that difficult. They already have the gameplay. Just put that in a Battle Royale. They already have weapons on the map. Put that in a Battle Royale. They already have the fact that we're in soldier Spartan armor. They already have a shield system. Just fill up the shield system with some sort of thing out there. Make it like Fortnite where you don't have to like collect a bunch of attachments. You don't have to collect a bunch of armor plates. You just fill up the shield meter with like shield tanks or whatever, batteries that charge up your shield. I'm coming up with the game right here. They already have vehicles. They have vehicles in the franchise. They have lots of vehicles that you can pull from. And yet they didn't do it. I don't know why. There were rumors of a Halo Battle Royale, and I think that would have been phenomenal. Now, I don't think 343, in their current state with what they did with Halo Infinite, could do it correctly, but I feel like if you had made it correctly, if you'd made a battle pass that was satisfying and not just challenges based, you had a good XP system, you had good unlocks that weren't fugly, like they're finally getting there, there's finally some interesting armor unlocks in the newest battle pass. If you figured it out, if you looked at what other people were doing, you looked at what you did in the past, and you put all of that together in a game, people would have been so happy. You already made Halo Infinite multiplayer free-to-play, add Battle Royale to that. Microsoft is saying that Halo is just, it's going to stick around because we are worried because Microsoft just cans things. It's a sad state of affairs we're in right now. I'm hoping it gets better, but from what we're looking at and everything, it's not looking great. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you think 343 should continue to make Halo, or if somebody else, they should pass the torch. They had their 3 tries, 3 strikes, you're out. I get it. And I'm kind of on your side. I'm just worried about the other studio, like I said. And of course, like the video if you guys liked it, subscribe for more content, and as always, have a fantastic day. See you, everybody.